The Dolphins, look, dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things. That's what makes it impossible to properly prognosticate what's going to happen when 18 franchises reach the end of the road, and that's typically what happens the day after the regular season ends. 14 teams still alive, 18 teams picking up the pieces and thinking about the future. And I knew when I laid out in a post at PFT on Saturday all of the guys on the hot seat, all of the potential surprises, and then the ones where maybe the coach decides to move on or the GM decides to move on, whatever the case may be. I knew I was going to miss somebody. And I communicated with you about some of the possibilities, just kicking some ideas around.
You did.
Miami hit my radar screen.
It did hit. Miami hit your radar on Saturday, and you sent a text kind of gauging if I had heard anything, right? So I'm just trying to verify what you're saying here. But, yes, you had a little pasta and meatballs here.
And I was thinking of it from the perspective of Brian Flores making a power play against Chris Greer, because Flores has done extremely well, in my opinion, and I think you'll agree with me, with the talent that he's had. The talent has been substandard. The talent has been suspect. All those draft picks they've acquired via trades, when you scratch off the lottery ticket, there's been no prize under it for the most part. We were talking about that during the season. Hey, we have 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. Well, you had 3 first-round picks a couple of years ago, and look what they turned into. Not a bad deal. So I thought that Flores, because this has happened before, coach has a decent amount of success. Coach makes a power play to try to improve the quality of the folks who are there with the goal of improving the quality of the talent on the team. So something was going on. The problem is it was going on the other way.
Yes.
As Brian Flores was busting his ass to turn chicken you-know-what into chicken salad and have winning records for back-to-back years, folks in the organization were conspiring against him. And people, how do you know that? Because Flores got fired yesterday, and nobody else did. That's the hallmark of dysfunction. We'll talk about that over the course of this segment, but anytime the coach goes and the GM stays, or the GM goes and the coach stays, that's the whiff of dysfunction. That's a sign that people aren't on the same level of accountability.
No doubt.
And that's a poisonous situation. Stephen Ross, are you up? Are you listening? Can you hear me? That's dysfunctional. Firing your coach and keeping your GM, or firing your GM and keeping your coach, is dysfunctional in and of itself. So, and I don't know why I'm pissed about this. I don't know Flores like you do. And Dolphins fans get mad at us because we speak truth about Tua Tagovailoa. We speak truth about other things, hard truth that they don't want to hear. Hello, Tua. Good morning. Glad you're with us. You got a mess now. Because between Brian Flores and Tua Tagovailoa, I know who I'm keeping 100 out of 100 times.
Yeah.
1,000 out of 1,000 times I know who I'm keeping, and that's the guy who got fired yesterday. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Hello.
Yeah, okay.
Houston, hello.
Good to see you. No, but, I mean, you said a lot of good stuff. The shocker of yesterday was the fact that got, bombshell got dropped right around, a little after 9 a.m.? I mean, that out of nowhere, in my opinion. I mean, I thought of you exactly when it happened, just because I was like, man, Florio was onto something. I couldn't believe it. I don't understand it. I still don't understand it. I mean, really, you look at one of the positives of the organization, and I think if you ask people around the league, as far as the Miami Dolphins are concerned, you're going to get a lot of, man, I like Brian Flores as a head coach, whether that's coaches or people in the personnel office. You talk about, the team itself. I mean, come on. Again, what they've done, where they've come from in such a short period of time. Did anybody expect the 2020 Dolphins to be 10-6? Absolutely not. 10-6, yes, they missed the playoffs. Okay. Yeah, they lost to Buffalo in Week 17 last year. And then this year, again, to deal with some issues and then right the ship after being 1-7 and come back here and end up with a winning record for the football season, and everything looking on the up and up, everything on the team going in the right direction. Really, I mean, you look at just about any position on the football team and things are going well. Brian Flores doing his part. Now, the things that aren't going that well within the football team are not necessarily Brian Flores' issues either. And that's where we can dive into this, to where, yeah, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look right. It smells fishy to me. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so what's number one issue with the Miami Dolphins? Oh, that's right, the quarterback. Right, the lightning rod subject, period, right there. That's the number one issue. All right, most people you talk to around football, me included, you included, yeah, it's major questions about Tua, whether he could be the starter of any franchise, let alone lead that franchise to the promised land. There's serious questions, all right? And I would right now sit here and go, I doubt it. I don't think so. So wait, and now going back to that, here we are, a winning record, dealing with that situation the last 2 years, and we know by all accounts it's a Stephen Ross pick with Tua. So there's Brian Flores having to deal with the biggest problem in the organization, and he has nothing to do with it, really. He's just got to manage it and make it work. Suck it up, Brian Flores. Make it work. That guy can't throw it 20 yards down the field, but make that damn team win and offense work. You have that. The offensive line issues. Again, you talked about it. Missed draft picks. Those are the two most glaring issues on the football team, and neither one of them really lead back to the guy that got fired, to your point. And that's where it's absolutely amazing, ridiculous. And I mean, I just think the Miami Dolphins made an unbelievably huge mistake. I do. And I'm being biased. I just think the guy's a hell of a coach and leading the organization out of the woods into the right direction. And here we go, back to, like you said, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. Maybe they strike the jackpot and get a good coach. I don't know. But it's certainly semi-dysfunctional, to your point.
Well, I think Chris Collinsworth said this in relation to the Vikings during the game at Lambeau Field Week 17. You may get a different coach, but you're not going to get a better coach. Vikings fans may disagree with that statement in that context, but I think that statement applies 100% to the Dolphins. You're going to get a different coach, but you're not going to get a better coach. And here's the reality. Stephen Ross, and I know this, anybody who follows this closely knows what's coming next, because we've been saying this for years, and it's been true for years. If you're going to own an NFL team in today's environment, with as competitive as it is, if you're going to own that team, you better be all in. It's not just some side hobby where you live in New York City and you keep making your billions there and you just fly down to South Florida for the home games or wherever the team is playing for the road games, and also still expect to put a finger in the stew and spin it around from time to time like Stephen Ross does, even though he says, I have nothing to do. Bull crap. That's so you don't get criticized for the decisions that blow up in your face, like Tua Tagovailoa. You make it known what you want, but you're not there every day. There's a value in being there every single day. We've talked about this time and again. Ownership presence every day. The ability to meet with Brian Flores on a regular basis, to spend time with him, to get to know who he is, what he is, and not rely upon people who whisper into your ears while the coach is busting his ass trying to win games. I've been hearing for years how coaches go crazy when they know what's going on up in that luxury suite.
Of course.
Anything that goes wrong in the game is their fault, because they have no chance to defend themselves.
Yeah.
Here's the owner, and he's got team president here, he's got GM here, he's got somebody else here, and it's all the fault of the guy who's not there. It's all his fault, and he's got no time or opportunity to ever really speak his side of the story, because on Monday morning, where's the owner? Tuesday morning, where's the owner? Wednesday morning, where's the owner? Oh, he only shows up when the coach doesn't have an opportunity to talk to him face to face. And so what happens? It creates dysfunction. And when you have a standard that isn't everyone's on the same page, we all stay, we all succeed, or we all go. When there's an opportunity for different standards to apply to different people in the organization, anytime adversity strikes, one camp is going to blame it on the other camp, and that camp is going to blame it on the other camp. And the problem is, Brian Flores is all about football. I mean, your response to my question, hey, you think Flores is making a move on Greer? No, I haven't heard that at all. No, because Flores is focusing on coaching the damn team.
Exactly. He's worried about the Patriots and Belichick. Right,
So he loses the game,
right,
the political game that got played out. And at the end of the day, Stephen Ross is the one who got played by people who, when I saw the tweet yesterday from Jeff Darlington of ESPN, and I'm not blaming Jeff for this, he's just reporting what he's told, that Flores ultimately failed because of relationships. Get the hell out of here with relationships.
Please.
This isn't relationships. This is about winning football games.
Yeah.
You think Bill Belichick has great relationships in the organization? No. But he wins. See, that's a problem. Any piece of fruit that falls off the Belichick tree, if you don't win right away, there's going to be people in the organization that don't like you, and they're going to conspire against you because you don't go in there and kiss everyone's ass and play the game. And that's not the way to have a functional, successful football team. Get out of here with those petty fiefdoms and turf battles. There's no place for that in football except in Miami.
Yeah, well, no, that to me, Mike, you said a lot there, and I agree with you. It does seem like it was a coup d'etat, like that. Yeah, Chris Greer, right? Stephen Ross, yeah, conspired. You said it right. You know, so many times the coach is down there, he's working and grinding, but the GM's out, having brunch with the owner, getting to tell him all about, hey, my picks were great, and any other problem, like you said, I don't know why he's not coaching them better. I don't know why. That's where it looks like that from the outside looking in right now. It does, 100%. And then, like, you bring up the point about, I don't like the way it looks right now. I mean, to me, added on top of the shock, the shocking factor of Brian Flores being fired, where you go, what? One of the better young head coaches in football? And now we're going to talk about relationships in the building? Relationships? What? First off, let me just say this. You said it already. I know Brian Flores. I've known him for a long time. I mean, there's not a disrespectful, mean bone in his body as far as having relationships with people. Is there hard line like, hey, we got to do this to be better? We got to do this to be a better football organization? Hey, defense, we got to get better in this department. I don't want to hear it. No nonsense, no excuses. Of course. Yeah. But, like, what do we think we're dealing with here? This ain't the Boy Scouts. This ain't band camp. You think Nick Saban's, like, holding the hands of every college coach he's ever had? I mean, it's relationships are built on, like you're talking about, the work done in the building, the profession itself, respect for others, not whether, like, we're best buddies and we can go hang out and watch a game together. That's not the head coach's job. We can go through a lot of coaches in football and get into discussions and go, I don't know how many great relationships he has in the building. He's got people who respect him because they know he's good at his job. That has crap to do with anything. And that's my other thing I don't like here. Is a little bit of a smear campaign playing into the story of, like, hey, this is a tough, hardline guy. And also playing into the fact of the matter of, like, oh, he's from New England. We'll be able to pin this on him because we've had a lot of other coaches like this as well out of New England who have, not the ability to have relationships. What a bunch of BS. Really. Like, I can't even – you talk about low blow central from Miami. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a low blow coup d'etat went on. And the guy that got fired is the guy that's, mainly responsible for the success and the positive nature in which the organization's running. Absolutely debacle. Like, stupid. And I don't understand it at all, Mike. But I think you said a lot of good things, and I hope I added to it there.
No, absolutely. And, look – this has its roots in one thing, and we talk about this all the time as well, but it's not all the time that a living, breathing example of it lands unexpectedly in our laps like it did yesterday.
Yeah.
One of the prerogatives of being a multi-billionaire is you don't have to give direct orders to people. You can be subtle. You can be nuanced. You can make your point without ever having to reduce yourself to making direct orders. There's something unseemly about having to tell people, hey, remember, I'm the boss. I run the show. I decide who stays and goes. They don't want to have to say that. They shouldn't have to say it, but they get what they want. And it is undeniable, folks, undeniable. I don't care what's coming out now. They're trying to paint a different narrative now, and it's BS. Stephen Ross wanted Deshaun Watson. Stephen Ross didn't get Deshaun Watson. And to the extent that Brian Flores resisted the Deshaun Watson love affair that Stephen Ross had, he's paid for it with his job. And look, that may have been the root of the conversations. Think about it. They were 1-7. Beat the Patriots to start the season, lost 7 in a row, adversity, dysfunction. What's going on? Why don't we have Deshaun? I said I wanted Deshaun. And again, he doesn't have to say it that clearly, but we know he wanted Deshaun all along. He wanted Deshaun in August. They didn't have Deshaun. We wouldn't be 1-7 if we had Deshaun. Where's Deshaun? Why don't we have Deshaun? Why don't we have Deshaun? Well, Brian Flores isn't there to say nobody in this building wants Deshaun. Nobody wants Deshaun, Steven. Not me, not Chris Greer, not Tom Garfinkel, not anyone. Nobody wants Deshaun. You're the one who wants Deshaun. No, they're all up there saying, well, I don't know, coach doesn't really, coach keeps saying, coach isn't sure. And so he gets blamed for being the one who doesn't want Deshaun. So he's the one who's out the door. That's the nugget that becomes the virus that spreads and allows them to make their run, because ultimately Ross wanted Deshaun and Ross didn't get Deshaun, and that laid the foundation, I think, for what ultimately happened yesterday.
Well, I definitely think it has something to do with that subject. I do. There's no doubt about that. Now, that's where I don't know. And again, that's where I've talked to people around the trade deadline, heard a lot of rumors then, from people that, of course, are in the know, that I trust. We've heard plenty of things in the past where we know it came from Stephen Ross and his mouth, where he's a little bit of a blabber. We know that. I mean, we've had things that we've been able to, we could have reported, or things we knew that were true that came out or haven't come out, that we know have kind of come from that direction. I think we both have had sources there to verify that it's a little loose lip from ownership there in Miami. That's kind of the MO. There's no doubt. And that's where I think the Tua thing is the lightning rod for this situation to a degree. There's no doubt. Now, what I don't understand, I don't know if it's like what you're saying or if it's the other way around too. I do think there was a wanting from everybody, including Stephen Ross or Deshaun Watson. But I was led to believe by people that I trust that at some point it turned, and the public pressure and everything, and it got into back to it's Tua. We're going to make it work with Tua. And that's where I just don't know, and I'm trying to connect the dots, and I hope to get some answers and things like that. But that's where I think ultimately the relationship became dysfunctional, at least from where I've been led to believe from people like around the situation and, who know people in the NFL. That, yes, Greer, Ross, and Flores were not on the same page about the quarterback situation and whether it was Tua or Watson. Now, I was led to believe that Greer and Ross ultimately led to, let's just go back to Tua and make it work. And they chickened out on the Deshaun Watson thing. But I don't know that 100%. I can't verify it. Maybe I will be able to tomorrow. But that's what I was led to believe in the situation. And that Flores was a little bit left out in the dark on that conversation there. And that's where it went wrong. Like I said, I don't know that for sure, but either way, I do know, because I had too many people I know that I've talked to, that Tua certainly in that conversation was a big basis for what we saw yesterday at firing of Brian Flores out of left field.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.